About a third of all Americans say they are dealing with anxiety or depression during this pandemic, but we don't want people to sink further into depression, so we're going to have a conversation about that. Joining me is Arnita Holloman from the Milwaukee Office of Violence Prevention. Arnita, we appreciate you being with us again.
Thank you for having me.
Well, July 1st next week, a lot of people are dealing with, job loss, no money, rent and bills are due. Do you have any advice for people on how to keep from feeling just basically hopeless when the money is very, very tight, Arnita?
Yeah, Carol, that's a difficult situation. And one of the ways I think to keep from feeling hopeless is to remember what you do have and what is working well. But I don't want to say that in a way that it minimizes the difficulty that you're having or the stress that you may be under if you don't have the funds to, pay bills or to make ends meet. So you want to have a healthy balance of acknowledging how you're feeling and recognizing, noticing that, but also putting some intention into also thinking about the things that are still working well for you and what resources you do have available to you.
Yeah, that's a good point. You don't want to minimize it, but you also have to take a little action. Thank you. Now, there's the isolation factor that a lot of people live alone, and when they live alone and they really need people, they don't have the ability to socialize. What about people who are feeling lonely? We have just, almost a half the people really do live alone these days.
Yeah, that's a great question because a lot of the conversation is focused around families, folks with children or significant others or multiple people living together. And so often left out are the folks who live alone. And so in those situations, I'm going to say, as we talked before, to make sure that you're finding ways to connect. I know that the website Meetup used to have, all these different groups of folks you could meet up with. Maybe checking into that and seeing if there are virtual groups. If there are neighbors in your neighborhood that you can, you can meet outside and you both sit on your porches and have a long distance conversation between houses. But whatever you need to do to make sure you are getting some kind of human connection and not just watching someone on TV, but that there's someone else interacting with you is going to be extremely important.
Yeah, that's very, very good advice. And, a lot of people, Arnita, are when they're depressed, they start thinking over and over about their bad thoughts and they sort of feel sorry for themselves. How do you stop that cycle of negative thinking or maybe feeling sorry for yourself?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So when you're having depressive symptoms, one of those things may be that definitely that cycling. With depression, it's common that ruminating on the past or ruminating on the things that are not working well. You want to find something to help you snap out of it. So there are some folks who use all different kinds of things to snap you out. You may use a rubber band on the wrist, and when those thoughts start going, you pop that rubber band just to remind you, like, whoa, okay, I was somewhere else. Let me come back to what's happening now. Practicing mindfulness, which is extremely helpful, both for our brain, but also physiologically and psychologically. If we can practice mindfulness and being in the moment of right now and not in the moment of the past or anxiety in the moment of the future, that's always helpful. And I'm always going to recommend when it gets to be too much, it's overwhelming, even if it's not, you can always talk to a therapist.
Yes, that's very good. And I like that rubber band. Then a little pain may jar you out of it. So,
Yeah, don't
okay.
do it too
All
hard.
right. Yeah, not too hard.
You don't want to
Arnita
leave a mark.
Holloman, we don't want to hurt ourselves. We appreciate
Right.
your advice all the time. It's always good to talk to you. Thank you very much. Arnita Holloman from the Office of Violence Prevention. Well, this